Hello and welcome to this podcast. In this podcast, we're going to be discussing the single biggest problem that ails India. I'm sure you're thinking India is a country of 1.4 billion people, and how can you reduce such a large country to one single problem? But that's what I'm going to attempt to do in this video, so listen on. There's a lot of talk today about India being one of the world's largest economies. Today, it's the fifth largest economy, and we will be the third largest economy in a few years. And that is true, right? India will become the third largest economy in a short course of time, and it is commendable. But the question to ask is, why are we saying that we'll become the third largest economy and not the second? So we need to overtake Germany and Japan to be the third largest economy, and the third largest economy in size is about of $5 trillion, right? But the second largest economy, which is China, is between I think 18 to 19 trillion dollars, right? So there's this big there's this big distance that needs to be traveled between the third and the second largest economy, and that's the reason why everybody is talking about India being the third largest economy, but not the second. So, what is stopping us from being the second largest economy on this planet, right? So, the thing that is stopping us is noise. Yeah, you heard that right. It is noise. Noise is what is stopping India from becoming the world's second largest economy. So, let's start with. So, there are three major noisemakers in India. Let's start with the first one. The first one is the Indian politician. Right? No shock, no surprise. So in 2014, in the general election, BJP won the election with 282 seats, right? So they had the majority. And the party that came second was the Congress, which had 44 seats. So the difference between the winner and the second place was quite big. So it's a huge gap, right? Now, what does the Congress do and what does the opposition do now that they're in second place? What they do is they make a lot of noise. So anything that the government does, they are against it. If it is the new Vista building, terrible thing. If there's infrastructure, roads, airports, Vande Bharat trains, all terrible, all things to be condemned. Um, Millions of bank accounts for people in India were opened by this government, which resulted in money directly going to the poor people for all of these schemes, and the middlemen not getting anything. There is the toilet scheme, Mudra loan. So pretty much everything that the government has done, the opposition has spent a lot of time just opposing it. So it's just been, so there's been a lot of noise. There's been a lot of noise saying, "Oh my God, all this is terrible." Now, imagine that there's a cricket match, right? It's the most popular sport in India, and it's a cricket match. One team wins. The Australia wins 282, makes 282 runs. India makes 44 runs. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think Rohit Sharma is going to spend all his time criticizing the Australian team and saying, "Oh my God, their captain is terrible, their coach is terrible. Look at their nutritionalists, look at their physio, look at the kind of grounds that they have, look at the kind of training that they're getting, look at their fielding, look at their vice." Like, he's not going to spend any time dissecting the Australians. He's going to spend all his time saying, "Oh my God, the Indian cricket team did a terrible job. We really need to figure out our batting. We need to figure out our bowling. We need to figure out how we need to improve cricket in India right from the domestic level." So there is a lot of introspection that Rohit Sharma is going to do and the Indian cricket team, and it's going to be focused on how they can be better, right? Unlike what is happening in India today, and it's not just restricted to the Congress. It doesn't matter if it's AAP, if there's a state where BJP is in the opposition, you're just going to hear the exact same thing, right? So pretty much everybody has. So there's a certain shrillness in India today as a result of all this noise that you can listen to based on the politics. Now, how does that affect you as a person, right? Let's start with a name. Have you heard the name Mahua Moitra? I'm sure you have. She's from the TNC. Can you name her constituency and three things that she's done for her constituency? You can add it to the comments. Well, looks like you can't. And that's not surprising, right? Most people can't. Most people don't know, right? So Mohit is known for her fiery speeches. I like her in the Devi Ghus Gayi mode, and that's really really terrific. But um, it's surprising that people don't know what she's done, right? Similarly for Rahul Gandhi, right? You know his constituency, but you don't know what he's done. And that is so odd. I could take a whole bunch of names, and people would not know what their member of parliament has actually done for the constituency. So a lot of time that these people are spending is in criticizing versus talking about what they've done. So I'm not saying that they haven't done anything, right? That's not my point. But my point is they're not talking about what they've done. They're spending a lot of time in being critical of their opponent versus actually talking about something great that they could have done, right? And that is the political discourse in India today, and that applies across the board. And it's not good for the country. Now contrast that with somebody like Tendulkar. Nobody's really heard him giving a speech. His bat does all the talking, and you've seen all the great innings that he's played, right? So he's got a pretty good track record of actually doing stuff, and we need to also have members of parliament who have an actual track record of doing things for their constituency, for the people of India, right? And there are people who say, Rahul Gandhi, dil ka bahut acha hai, and that would be true, right? But is a childhood overdose of Saffola the required prerequisite or qualification for somebody for the top job in the country, right? Maybe not. So there needs to be a track record. You could be a really nice person, but what is your track record, and what's stopping you from having a track record, right? More importantly, right? You can have both. You could show up as a philosopher, but you could also be somebody who's got a terrific track record. Now, AAP is the party that of, and that most people know of, that they've done certain things, right? They've done the Mohalla clinic, they've spent time on improving the school infrastructure, CCTV in Delhi, free bus rides for women, free electricity, right? So there's a lot of stuff that AAP has done, but they still didn't get voted in the recent election, right? They were in power for 10 years, and all these things are good, but the vote is aspirational. So the voter is thinking, okay, what else can you give me? And in a city where you can't breathe the air, and where the water of the Yamuna is not at all potable, right? The voter wants something more, maybe something really basic, not even aspirational, and that's the reason why they look for change in this election. So all politicians need to start thinking about what they can do versus just make noise, right? So democracy only thrives when there's a good opposition and there's a strong opposition, and unfortunately in India we do not have that, and that is a risk to the country and to the people, right? And you hear a lot of noise just because of that. Now let's look at the second biggest noisemaker. Okay, no surprise, it's the media, right? You switch on your television and it's noise, right? So the media has really evolved, and the media has now come up with this panchayat system where there's an anchor and there are four panelists, and between the five of them, they just debate and discuss, and the more controversial things that the panelists can say, the better. So essentially, this is a lot like Coffee with Karan, but you have a lot of unhappy panelists, right? Because this is Coffee with Karan without any gift hamper, so everybody is just unhappy, and you just see that unhappiness just show up, and it's like it's very repetitive. You turn on the TV tomorrow, you'll see the exact same thing. Different people, same tone. You can close your eyes, and it's just noise, right? So, why is the media making so much noise, right? Take the farm laws. If I ask you, name the three farm laws, there are very few people who would actually be able to name the three farm laws. And this is very interesting because the farm laws discussion happened in India for an entire year. Right, for an entire year, television channels discussing it. People are not sure whether it is good, whether it is bad, what is good about this law, what is. So it's not a very conclusive discussion, and the media benefits from keeping issues on boil, because now you literally have in your 30-minute news cycle, you've got 10 minutes of guaranteed programming just on this farm laws, right? So it's very it's very what's the right word, efficient. It's very cheap for the media. They don't have to do too much work. They've got 10 minutes without any problem whatsoever, right? Now, these issues, they're discussed with not with the intention of coming up with a solution, right? It's not a very constructive discussion. It's a very destructive discussion. Issues are literally there, kept on boil forever, right? And you can see that for a whole bunch of issues. And the media, interestingly, has got a calendar now. They've got a calendar of events where there are certain things that happen every year, like the Parli burning in Punjab. Then there is air pollution during Diwali, and then there's Mumbai floods. Every 6 months, obviously, you have a gang rape. So that is something that is fervently discussed. And it happens in that interval, right? It apparently nothing has happened today, tomorrow. Right? It just happens in the 6 month interval. Everybody jumps on it, and they can't just get over it. And there are other things as well that are added to this mix. Um, one of them that really stands out is being reactive. So somebody says Savarkar, the entire media is right. Oh, now we need to discuss Savarkar, really, and then it becomes Bose. Everybody wants to discuss Bose. So how does this matter to the larger population in India? They've got very existential issues. They're not interested in the interest that the media has in history is not commensurate. It's not. It doesn't align with the interest that the general population has in history, right? So you have this huge disconnect. There's this famous dialogue from the movie Diwar. A lot of people didn't, listen to it fully. So dialogue goes where Amitabh Bachchan says, "Dagar साहब मैं अभी भी फेंके हुए पैसे नहीं उठाता और एग्जिट पोल पे विश्वास नहीं करता." Right, so that is the other interesting thing about the TV channel. They spend so much time on exit poll. There's the pre-poll, then they'll discuss that. There's a lot of analysis. Then there's an exit poll. They'll discuss that in great detail. Then there's actual poll happens. Then there is post poll, and it's not over. Then there's mood of the nation. So imagine it in Delhi. The air is not breathable. The Yamuna water is not potable. That they discuss it for 1% of the time. But exit poll, the amount of interest, the kind of graphics they have, it's like it's like a cricket match. The kind of coverage that they provide, it's insane. So a real issue nobody really wants to discuss. But this nonsense that people don't really care about, that didn't even exist maybe 20, 30 years ago. That is something that is talked about so much. And mood of the nation, don't even get me started on that. So imagine दीवार picture आज बनती है, right? It's made today. दोनों भाई पुल के नीचे मिलते, तो बड़ा भाई बोलता है मेरे पास गाड़ी है, बंगला है, बैंक बैलेंस है, छोटे तुम्हारे पास क्या है? छोटा भाई बोलता है बड़े भाई मेरे पास भी गाड़ी है, बंगला है, बैंक बैलेंस है। बड़े भाई चौंक जाता है, क्या बात कर रहे हो? बड़े भाई बोलता है मैं एनडीटीवी में काम करता हूँ। छोटे तुम कहाँ काम करते हो? छोटे रविश तुम कहाँ काम करते हो? छोटा रविश बोलता है सर भैया मैं तो रिपब्लिक टीवी में काम करता हूँ। अरे क्या बात कर रहे हो? हम दोनों इसी धंधे में। हाँ सर हाँ। और मम्मी किधर है? मम्मी दोनों को मालूम नहीं मम्मी किधर है। मम्मी ने अपना सुइंग मशीन बेचा, आईटी का कोर्स किया, अमेरिका में ग्रीन कार्ड के लाइन में रुकी है, लंबा सा लाइन है। मम्मी के एक हाथ में किसी क्रूर इंसान ने लिखा है मेरे दोनों बेटे टीवी जर्नलिस्ट हैं। सोचो उस माँ पे क्या बीतती होगी। और मम्मी ने खुद अपने दूसरे हाथ पे लिखा है भैया दूरदर्शन ही अच्छा था, टाना ना ना ना। तो हमारे देश में राइट लोगों को लगता है कि ये लेफ्ट विंग है, ये राइट विंग है, राइट मैं इसके पक्ष में उसके विपक्ष में हूँ। सी any person, if I can predict something that is going to come out of your mouth, you are not a journalist. So people will say I'm right wing, left wing. Okay, look, I know you're pro and you're anti, you're pro government, you're anti government. I know exactly what you want to say. Who cares, right? But then there are people who believe no, this guy's anti government, so he's very brave. This guy pro government. So it's if there is no objectivity, there's no journalism. So both of them you should discount. Now, talking about Delhi, right? Delhi elections and the air and the water, right? So there's a movie Anand that was made a long time back, and when they introduce Anand, they say Anand is from Delhi, and he's got sarcoma of the intestine. आज की तारीख में अगर आनंद पिक्चर बनती है, they just have to say ये आनंद है दिल्ली से, everybody will know इसको लिम्फोसर्कोमा ऑफ द लंग है. कुछ सोचने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, सबको पता चल जाता है. तो दिल्ली में आज की तारीख में महिलाएं करवा चौथ ऑब्जर्व नहीं करती, क्योंकि वो वो रिवाज में फाइनली चांद को देखना पड़ता है, और दिल्ली में इतना स्मॉग और पोल्यूशन है कि चांद दिखता नहीं है. हाँ, तो करने सो दे कांट कंप्लीट दैट रिचुअल. एंड अगर चांद दिखता भी है तो दिल्ली में रह के एक पति का क्या आयु रहेगा, राइट? तो फायदा ही नहीं है, राइट? देयर इज नो पॉइंट. Right. By the way, the reason we have Karwa Chauth in India is because we have this tradition of sati. That is the only reason why the Indian woman wife is so interested in the husband living long, right? I know you didn't figure this out, but that is exactly why you're watching this channel. I don't know if you've seen Rani Mukherjee in Black, but before every scene, they gave her a glass of water from the Yamuna, and that's why her acting was perfect. So you drink a Yamuna water, there's a good chance you can win a Filmfare Award. Right? I regret that the Aam Aadmi Party, right, they didn't win this election, because the Amol Palekar of Indian politics, Arvind Kejriwal, he had this brilliant idea for curbing pollution, and his idea was to ban Rajma in Delhi. He knew that it would be a very drastic step, so he was thinking, odd day Delhi में राजमा नहीं खा सकते हो, even day पंजाब में नहीं खा सकते हो, ठीक है? And that is a really good solution. I totally endorse it. We should think of implementing that. ये पॉलिटिक्स था जहाँ पे लोग इतना आवाज़ करते हैं, राइट? नेक्स्ट नॉइज मेकर कौन है? नेक्स्ट नॉइज मेकर कौन हो सकता है? आपको क्या लगता है? वो आप और हम हैं, राइट? लोग, जनता. So we are the noise makers. Wait a minute, I'm getting a ping. This is from Tamil Mommy, who's saying, please speak in English or Tamil. Why are you speaking in Hindi? And there's one more. Kannadiga auto rickshaw wala driver uncle. He's saying, no busy will leave out for you, Vivek Chandran. Okay. That is going to be a great loss, but I will live with that. So third noisemaker is us, okay, the people. Now, I'm sure you've heard many times on Indian television, the anchor says, Cheen ko dekho, look at China's economy. They are 5 times, the size of India's, and 30 years ago we were all the same. And that's really interesting. Do you know what the biggest difference between China and India is, right? The last major protest that happened in China was in 1989, the Tiananmen Square one. Right? Everybody remembers that iconic picture of the man standing in front of the tank. Right? Imagine that was 36 years ago. इंडिया में, राइट, प्रोटेस्ट तो आम बात है, रोज होता है, राइट? फार्म लॉ 1 साल का प्रोटेस्ट, ऐसा नहीं 1-2 दिन का, पूरा एनिवर्सरी होता है, राइट? और अभी भी ख़त्म नहीं होगा, फिर बार बार आता है. इट्स नॉट अ वन टाइम इवेंट, इट कीप्स हैपनिंग, राइट? तो शाहीन बाग था 6 महीने के लिए, वाह वाह. और क्या, अग्निवीर था, वो भी था. और इंडिया में ऐसे नहीं कि सिर्फ पॉलिटिकल मुद्दों पे लोग प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं. ये पद्मावती पिक्चर बनी थी, हीरोइन का नाम है पद्मावती, पिक्चर का भी नाम है पद्मावती. ऐसा हो नहीं सकता, राइट? ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? पिक्चर का हीरोइन पद्मावती और पिक्चर का नाम भी पद्मावती है, ऐसा गलत है. पिक्चर का नाम कुछ क्या होना चाहिए फिर, गोलगप्पावती या ऐसा कुछ नहीं. तो लोगों को किसी भी बात पे एतराज़ है, तो अपना डायरेक्टर को नाम बदलना पड़ा. हाँ, तो अपना उद्देश्य वैसा है, लोग किसी भी बात को लेके प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं. हाँ, एंड यू मस्ट बी थिंकिंग, यार ये प्रोटेस्ट इंडिया में जो होता है, राइट, ये कौन करता है? हाँ, ऐसे अरे गरे लोग करते होंगे? नहीं, ये ऐसा नहीं है, राइट? बट बिफोर आई कम देयर, आई विल टॉक अबाउट 2 issues. So China has this draconian one-child policy, right? So it's a life-changing policy for a lot of people. There are a lot of people who had to abort the first child because it was a girl. There were a lot of fetuses that were aborted, a lot of children killed. And so this was a one-child policy. The US in 14 states has anti-abortion laws, and in these 14 states, from Jan 1st, 2022 to a period of 18 months, there were about 65,000 women who were raped who went through a full pregnancy, okay, because the state has anti-abortion laws. Name any Indian law that even comes close. Name an Indian law. Put it in the comments. Let me also be updated if there is one. Right. So you have such kind of laws in countries, and people endure it. India, it doesn't matter. It could be a chota mota. Everybody's like, nahi, nahi. You know, हम लोगों में इतना उसूल है, हमको जाके प्रोटेस्ट करना पड़ेगा. तो इंडिया में कौन प्रोटेस्ट करता है? यू मस्ट बी थिंकिंग यार इंडिया में रिफ्रैफ इज प्रोटेस्टिंग. दैट्स नॉट ट्रू. नेम द स्टेट इन इंडिया दैट हैज 100% लिटरेसी. क्या बात है, राइट? केरला, वेरी गुड. 1991 से केरला इज 100% लिटरेसी. 1991, लिटरली 34 years. हैव यू एवर हर्ड अ सिंगल पर्सन सेइंग मैं अपना लाइफ बनाने के लिए तिरुवनंतपुरम जा रहा हूँ? नहीं, राइट? सब लाइफ बनाने के लिए मुंबई जाते हैं, या रिसेंट टाइम्स में बैंगलोर जाते हैं, और दिल्ली का एनसीआर, नोएडा, वहाँ पे भी जाते हैं. तिरुवनंतपुरम कोई जाता नहीं है. सो इमेजिन, राइट, कि 100% लिटरेसी है और लोग जाते नहीं है. क्यों नहीं होता? क्योंकि केरला इज द लैंड ऑफ प्रोटेस्टर्स. ग्राउंड जीरो है केरला. हर चीज़ के लिए प्रोटेस्ट होता है, राइट? वर्कर राइट्स, लेबर राइट्स, ह्यूमन राइट्स, एनिमल राइट्स, farmer rights, women's rights, anything rights, people of Kerala are ready to get onto the street. So that is why Kerala, there's no industry. There's this industry based out of Kerala, Kitex. The owner is a Keralite. He moved 3,000 crores that he was going to allocate to Kerala for building plants. He moved it to Telangana. He said Kerala is not conducive for running a business, right? So forget other people. People in that state are like, we need to get out of there. So Kerala, what it gave to the world is this knowledge that there's a difference between literacy and education. Literacy is ABCD. When you know ABCD, that's literacy. Education is to take this ABCD, put in a sentence. People can have a actual conversation. They can resolve problems, right? So Kerala showed the world, what the difference between these two is. Now, what is the thinking in Kerala, right? How do Keralites think? Why does this happen? So if you look at Appukutan, who's in college, he wakes up, he tells his mom, "Amma in the samaramana." Amma is like, "Mono oru puttungadli elandanattu po indu rushina." Appukutan is like, "Amma oru bullseye ayalo." Amma is like, "Done." So there is full backing, pathimba, like they say in Maharashtra, right? Full backing for people who want to go and protest in Kerala. Everybody is okay with that. In Kerala, when you hear that Lakshmi Kuti from second grade has come of age, what does that mean? That means that Lakshmi Kuti in second grade has run a successful hartal, and now in the midday meal, every child is going to get one extra papadam, right? And then Lakshmi Kuti, as she grows older, she becomes, in college, she gets into politics, and then she gets into Rashtriam, which is, local politics. And, it happens for over a period of time, and then her parents say, there should be some pariharam undakni. So let us find a solution. At that point, they decide to send Lakshmi Kuti to the holiest place for all Malayalis, the Gulf. Oh, you thought Sabrimala? Gulf. For all Malayalis, irrespective of religion, holiest places, Gulf. Remember that. And then they put an ad in, parents put an ad in OLX, not Kerala Metro, in OLX. They are selling all the Hartal equipment, all the flags, Lal Salam, Inqilab Zindabad, Hartal for Dummies, and also CA toolkit digitally signed by Disha Ravi. All of this on OLX, they'll sell it. Lakshmi Kuti is then in UAE, Qatar, someplace. Every year she'll come back with this blue bottle of Nivea cold cream for her mummy, and she'll get a fluorescent glow-in-the-dark lungi for her dad, and life is good, right? Kerala, everybody is a protester, right? So if you look at a Keralite in Kerala, Keralite is like Lalita Power, right? If people are familiar with her. Keralite in Dubai, Qatar, UAE, they're like Suman in Maine Pyar Kiya, Kya Aap Jal Piyoge Ji, right? So the contrast is, it's insane, right? You want to see a rabid communist, right? Go to the side of the Arabian Sea in Kerala, and you just go to the other side, and you're going to see this coy capitalist, right? Here, rabid communist, there, coy capitalist. It's insane. It's insane, but you can see it. right? Lovely Kerala. So now we've discussed the three biggest noisemakers. Now there are a couple of other things I want to talk about which is not related to noise, but speaks to the kind of country that India is. So a few years back, I went on a hike. I went to Kodaikanal and we went on a hike to a trail called, I think, Dolphin Trail. And so it's a very beautiful trail. You look up and around. It's fantastic. You look down, you just see plastic wafer packets and water bottles. That's it. There's plastic waste all the way. So it's a hike. It's in a forest, but the entire path that you're walking on, it is strewn with garbage. And this is a forest trail. So imagine, right? People don't have that much civic sense. People don't have that much civic sense. Forget everything else. So India, go to any place in India, you'll see most places, right? Kerala, I'll give Kerala credit that Kerala, to a very large extent, is clean, right? So Keralites be happy. But you go to most places in India, it's filthy. People have absolutely no civic sense, right? A lot of times you hear about these rape incidents and people say, "Oh, this is so terrible." But भारत माता का आपने चीर हरण किया आप उस औरत को क्यों छोड़ोगे, right? And इसमें हम सब शामिल है. So in the West there's this thinking about broken windows. So essentially, if there is a neighborhood where there are broken windows, they've seen that there is an increase in crime there. There's an increase in crime because people think that bad elements think that this neighborhood is not well looked after, so we can do whatever we feel like, right? So they actually fix windows in such kind of places so that the crime rate goes down, and it actually does. So in India, what's happening is we have strewn garbage all over. People think कुछ भी चलता है, कुछ भी चलता है, कुछ भी चलता है. Anything you can do, right? यहाँ पे आप building खड़ा कर सकते हैं, garden की, you can pretty much get rid of a park. Look at the kind of construction that you see in all the major cities, right? It's all unplanned. You can do whatever you feel like in India, right? And that starts with these small things, because you created this environment where people think, yaar, kuch bhi chalega. So if you want to change the country, stop throwing garbage, right? We have this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Before Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, we should have this Bharat Ganda Mat Karo Abhiyan. Okay? And you're part of this abhiyan. Since you're watching this, you're enrolled into this abhiyan. So ganda mat karo. Ek chota sa, don't even throw a chocolate wrapper. A billion people doing that, it's impossible to clean. So for a better country, you need to just develop that much civic sense. And there's something that you don't need to do, right? Don't throw something, that's it. It's not I'm telling you to go and clean something. Just don't dirty it. So if that's the first step to building a better country, right? अगर आपको देश बदलना चाहते हो तो आपको सोच बदलनी पड़ेगी, right? और ये एक छोटी सी बात है जो हर व्यक्ति कर सकता है. So people shouldn't say no, I can't do it, right? You can do it. Everybody can do it. The other thing that I want to talk about is something really boring. Footpaths, pavements. So I live in Silicon Valley in Cupertino, California. And in the United States, everywhere the pavements are standardized, right? You can see a standard height, and there's the pavement slopes in certain areas so that people with wheelchairs can get on and get off. It's very standard everywhere you go. You go to India, people have used their imagination to construct a footpath. Right? One is literally 1 foot in height, right? And there's never a ramp, so good luck on that. So all the footpaths that you see, you look at the dimensions, it's people have just decided that हम देख लेंगे, हम बना लेंगे, right? हमारी मर्जी से. So imagine if you're a handicapped person, you're somebody with a wheelchair, it's impossible for you to get on this, right? If you're a blind person, right, you have to constantly adjust because you don't know what is going to happen. Even if you're an able-bodied person, take a city like Bombay, right? There's so much construction, it's dug up everywhere. Even for an able-bodied person, right, this is literally like an obstacle course. So how do you think somebody who's not able-bodied, how do you think that person will be able to navigate through a city? So please add in the comments, right? If you experience this, right? If you think that there's a good footpath in India, please let us know. If not, please talk about what issues you're facing. So all the fellow citizens understand what you're going through, as a person who is not ably, who's handicapped. The third thing I want to talk about is, I went to the T1 airport in the terminal in Bangalore. It looks fantastic from outside, right? And then when I go inside, I see this wall, two walls meeting, and there's something broken. It's just been painted. Right? Somebody could have fixed it, but like no. Then you look at the toilets and you look at the stalls and look at the fixtures, and it's really really shabby. There are lots of places where there are gaps, where the carpet meets the yeah. There's the carpet meeting the wall. There are lots of places where you can see that there are it's not done properly, right? So attention to detail is lacking, and this is there everywhere. You look at roads that are being built. There may be a lot of roads that are being built, but what is the quality of roads that are being built, right? And all of this happens because we as citizens are part of this malaise where we think, okay, ठीक है चलता है, right? We should also be thinking, no, let's do this properly, right? So there's a thinking that is very pervasive, and there's a need for us to change that thinking, and that is, unless we change it, it's pointless to say let's be the biggest economy or whatever, right? It doesn't make sense. Let's say that you have a 3-bedroom apartment and it's really dirty, and then you're like, oh, I'll get a 5-bedroom apartment that's equally dirty. What's the point? You might as well have a 1-bedroom apartment that is clean, right? So that's why. So when we talk about economy going from third to fifth, it is going to be as filthy. Who cares, right? And is it going to be safe for women? Is the Indian woman going to be safer in the third largest economy? Really, you don't know. Obviously, because nobody's even thought about it, right? So ask yourself that question, right? What does that mean? It's a number. It doesn't mean anything, right? That number really needs to mean great social change that is beneficial to all of society, especially the weakest, right? So give that a thought. Now we've discussed all these problems, right? So we need to discuss solutions as well, right? Obviously, you can. It's not all doom and gloom. Right? It's totally possible to become better, and yeah, there are a lot of countries in the world that have done it. There are a lot of rivers that were polluted that have been cleaned. There are a lot of countries that were poor that have become significantly rich. There are a lot of countries that committed the really terrible crimes and they've become better, right? So you can, as a society, as a people, you can always move forward. So let's figure out how we can do that. So let's start with the people, right? So we've established that when it comes to air pollution, water pollution, India may be polluted, but when it comes to noise pollution, India is number one in the world, right? So what can we as people do? I think there are two things we can do. The first thing that we can do is shut up. It's simple. We just shut up. Now you could say, wait, why should we shut up? And how is shutting up beneficial? So if you look at the Indian diaspora, you can see all over the world, right? You can see them in the United States, United Kingdom, Australia, Europe, Middle East, Africa. And we're doing really well. If you look at the United States, the richest ethnic group in the United States is the Indian diaspora. Richer than Chinese, richer than the Koreans, richer than the Japanese, richer than whites, right? Imagine. And I live in Silicon Valley where there are a lot of Indians. I haven't heard of Indians protesting in Silicon Valley, initiating a protest in Silicon Valley, right? No, we don't do that kind of thing here. Okay, we don't do it. We just don't. The biggest motel owners in the United States are Patels. If you look at Belgium has a flourishing diamond trade, and Jews were the biggest. They owned most of it, and now you have Indians that are equal. You have equal percentage in the diamond trade now in Belgium, right? So imagine, right? You wouldn't even think of Belgium diamond trade Indians, but well, there we are. Look at Africa. Some of the biggest businesses in the entire continent in many countries are owned and run by Indians. Look at the Middle East. If you look at the Gulf, Qatar, UAE, Sharjah, Dubai, most of the businesses are owned by Indian nationals, right? More than Bangladeshi or Pakistani, even though these are Muslim majority countries. So And what is common? We don't protest in all of these countries. We don't. तो बच्चों आपने आज क्या सीखा? यही सीखा कि डर के आगे तरक्की है. ठीक है, डर के आगे तरक्की है. हिंदुस्तान में कोई डरता नहीं है. सब लोग बाहर सब लोग नहीं 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 हम ये सब नहीं करेंगे यहाँ पे. इट्स लाइक ओ. तो if I think what the Indian government should do is Indian government should just give all Indian citizens a visa, right? Because we had best behavior when we have a visa, right? Just name Cochin as Kochudabi and it'll be like Singapore. Just change the name. Trust me on this one. So it's interesting how for Malayalis, right? In Kerala, workers' rights are really important. In Qatar, if workers are killed, they don't care. If there's a Filipino maid who's exploited, nobody cares. If workers have to live in shabby, abysmal conditions there, nobody cares, right? So maybe they should, right? How about Malayalis going on strike in the Gulf for a day or two? Any takers? No, right? I'm sure Malayalis are going to ping me and say, we don't go on strike, and we are not going to, even in Kerala, we don't speak ill about the Middle East because, our people have to go there and work, right? Very good point. Even in Kerala, if you stop talking, people can work in Kerala. How difficult is it for you to understand? Think about it. And here I get a message from a Mumbaikar to Keralites. It says, Chaddi Traitsa. That is a very good point. Trust Mumbaikar to come up with something good. So no country can make progress with so much noise, right? There's no way that any country can make any progress with this amount of noise. It's a miracle that India makes any progress whatsoever, right? A lot of times, you hear eminent people in India saying, India mein aaj ki tarikh mein there's no freedom of speech. India's biggest problem is there's too much freedom of speech. there's no country where you get as much freedom of speech as in India. And everybody is fully using it. Like there's this 100 gigabyte or unlimited plan that people have. They're just going to keep using it. Freedom of speech itna hai, right? Chalo pura istemal kar de. And sometimes it's good not to, right? It's really good not to. A country can make progress. Look at China. China has made a lot of progress because people don't just sit and protest about every single thing that they can think of. So that was the first thing. The second thing that we can do, and I'm going to reiterate something that I said before, is if you want a better country, just stop dirtying it, right? Just stop dirtying the country. That's it. Don't litter, right? Swachh Bharat, Bharat Ganda Mat Karo Abhiyan, right? Remember that. So the next thing to think about is politicians, right? So if you look at politicians, how can they make less noise, right? They can make less noise by actually doing work, right? Not even more work. Actually do the work that you're interested to do. As a member of parliament, you have a responsibility towards your constituency. If you're running a state, you have a responsibility not just to a constituency but to the entire state and everybody who lives in there, right? Let's take the state of Karnataka. State of Karnataka is now ruled by the Congress, right? If I were the Congress, what would I do? First is I would stop all new construction in Bangalore. No new commercial construction, no new high rises. Stop, right? Bangalore doesn't have water for its residents. So there's no need to do any new construction. This should be very straightforward. And it will be recognized as a bold move all over India. Even Delhi should do it. And the BJP should do it in Delhi. Congress should do it in Karnataka. The other thing that Congress should do in Karnataka is clean up all the beaches, right? Karnataka has got this beautiful coastline. Clean up all the beaches. Make sure you got the cleanest and go all out. Clean all of Karnataka. Make it the cleanest. Yeah, make it your goal to make it the cleanest state in India. Then take a look at all the monuments you have, all the forts, palaces, everything, right? Give it for management to Tatas, Birlas, Mahindras. Why? You don't want to go to a national monument and see, Pinky Law's Gattu or something, right? You have something that is hundreds of thousands, literally thousands of years old, not hundreds of thousands of years old in terms of, monuments and forts, right? And then you've got, forests, lakes, rivers, all of that. I mean, you can, it's a tourist haven. It's a tourist haven. There's so much history, there's so much heritage. It's a tourist haven. So that's the thing that the state should be thinking of. And the last thing is law and order, right? Make it accountable. I've got a few videos. I'll share the links below. Make it accountable. So you do these three or four things, your state will start seeing tourists coming from a whole bunch of other places. It's going to be a better place for people to live in. Um, it's going to have better law and order. That means businesses can stay open late. Women can go out to work, at any time of the day or night, and uh, your state's employment will increase. The revenue that your state is making will increase. The taxes will increase. Everything will go up, and you can do it, right? So do something big, do something bold. Don't do something small, microscopic that nobody is going to really notice, right? So do this. Um, and talking of tourism, right? And there's something that all governments all over, politicians, governments all over India, in all the states should be doing this, right? If you look at India's tourism number, India has got 18 million tourists a year, roughly 18 to 20 million. A small country like France has got 100 million tourists. Imagine. Right? Even a smaller country like Maldives has 1.8 million tourists, right? One tenth of the tourists. Maldives population is what? Half a million, right? So imagine, like a country the size of India, which has all the ingredients that are necessary for tourism, right? Palaces, forts, mausoleums, national parks, beaches, mountains, snow, desert, you name it, it's there, right? We've done such a shitty job marketing it. Um, so that's something that all governments should do, and even governments like, let's say, TMC, they should do something bold like, hey, let's make Calcutta the cleanest city in the country. Do it. The entire country will help you get there, right? So have a big ambitious goal, and stop bickering, stop wasting your time, doing this tu meme, right? It's not going to help anybody. So if you look at the other things, right, a primary education is really important. So all governments should focus on primary education, right? Whether it's in villages or in cities or small towns, right? That is the only thing that can take India to the second largest economy. If that is poor, it's a very poor foundation. We won't get too far. Right? It's nice to have IITs and IIMs, but these are all elite institutions that benefit a very microscopic few. So unless primary education is better for everybody, it's not really going to be beneficial. So India's R&D, research and development budget is 0.65 of GDP. China's is 2.5. So imagine how much investment China is making, and those are things that we should be thinking of at a national level. But we keep wasting so much energy on all these small issues that we forget that we have some of these kind of bigger issues that need to be discussed, right? Um, the other thing that we should do is have a minister of toilets. You're like, oh, where did that come from, right? So I was reading about China, and they had similar terrible toilets like in India, public toilets, and then now you go to the remotest place in China and they've got amazing toilets, right? How did that happen, right? If it can happen there, it can happen here as well, right? So if you look at public toilets in India, it's terrible, right? Especially if you want to encourage tourism, you'll need to fix that, right? You go to any small hotel in India, the food is terrific, really good food. Go to the wash basin, you're like, oh, small things, right? You should have a minister of toilets and wash basins. Very important. Everybody should give it a thought, right? You need a good toilet across. Public toilets should be amazing, right? So that is something that I think the government of India should focus on. So other thing is, yeah, just if you look at somebody like Rahul Gandhi, right? Rahul Gandhi has been voted Filmfare, best new political newcomer of the year for 25 years running. He needs to work on track record, right? And he needs to, because we need a good opposition. If he's the leader, he might as well start working on it, right? And that's something that people should encourage him. Again, this is not this constructive criticism. This is not being critical for the sake of being critical. Right, India, if you look at somebody like Rohit Sharma, he doesn't play in 5 innings, people want to drop him, right? But Rahul Gandhi doesn't perform for 25 years, people are fine, right? So in India, I think people take cricket more seriously than politics, and maybe we should change that. And now let's turn to our lovely media, right? Shakuni Mama. Right, हर जगह एक टाइम पे मीडिया used to come with mic and camera. भी मीडिया माचिस की तीली से कहाँ आग लगा सकते हैं, right? So media should get out of this mentality of, it's like it. Sometimes I feel like Balaji, like Ekta Kapoor has taken over the news, right? It is all dramatic, right? It just feels that way. Yeah, it's interesting, but I think the Ekta Kapoor is going to bring back Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, and there's going to be this incredible twist where Tulsi realizes that Ba सच में कांग्रेस की समर्थक है. Imagine, right? I'm just digressing. So when you look at the media, so what should the Indian journalists be doing? Right, the Indian journalists should be working with. So if you look at companies, companies have these quarterly statements, right? Every 3 months, if they are listed companies, they say, hey, this is how we perform this quarter, and this is our projection. Chief ministers of every state in India that has crores of people as citizens, they should the media the Indian journalists should work with them to say, okay, we'll be doing a 3 month audit. You can come, you can talk about what you've done, and you can talk about what you will be doing. So everybody knows, it's transparent. Everybody knows, oh, this is what we can expect. And if it is not headed in the right direction, or if there's something that is not happening, then people can call up their representatives, email them, use the media, and can make sure that the work is happening in the right direction. Even members of parliament, the media can interview them every 6 months and say, okay, what is happening in a constituency? They can have a sabha, and people can come in, and the citizens of that particular constituency can say, oh, this is good, or this is not good, or whatever, right? So you can have those kind of constructive conversations, and you can through those conversations you'll get a real sense of mood of the nation kya hai, right? I'm sure Supriya Srinath's Congress spokesperson's children who are watching this, they'll have tears in the eyes. They'll be thinking, अरे यार अभी मम्मी को टीवी पे जाके ये बोलने की ज़रूरत नहीं कि कांग्रेस जीतने वाली है, right? That is one good thing that will come out of this, right? So have constructive, the Indian TV journalists, please have constructive conversations with our political representatives, right? It's just a headache for us to keep watching all these shows where there's just this tutu meme just goes on constantly, right? This bickering that never stops. And having something like this will result in greater transparency and accountability, and even people will know exactly what their representatives are doing, right? The other thing is stop being reactive, right? There are certain issues that nobody really cares about, so just stop going after the eyeballs and stop going after the noise. Do a lot of research on issues. A lot of times it looks like you're dependent on your panelists to give you all the information, whereas you literally have nothing, right? So people just show up on television and say, मेरे पास mic है और मेरा, it's like saying मेरा bat है तो मैं batting करूँगा, right? It's like मेरा mic है, camera है, आपको सब काम करना पड़ेगा, right? So थोड़ा तो homework करो, please, right? In fact, so media has a big role to play in keeping society on even keel, right? And also to reduce temperatures. The good thing for the media is there's a really good online tutorial on how to be a good journalist. So this tutorial is from our very famous loud actor Amir Khan, and it's called Satyamev Jayate. Okay, watch every episode, you will learn. Every episode you learn. That is exactly how journalism needs to be done. Thank you, Amir Khan, for doing this terrific thing. And if you guys haven't seen, Amir Khan has also got this Pani Cup videos, where there's a lot of good work that they've done in Maharashtra related to water conservation. So please take a look at that as well. Now, before I wrap up, right, I think there are at least two things that can be done for India to be really productive and the economy to really take off, right? I wish Modi ji will come on television tomorrow and say, I'm going to ban something. Right? Modi ji comes and says, मैं ban करने वाला हूँ. कल से WhatsApp पे आप किसी को happy birthday or happy anniversary wish नहीं कर सकते. Just this single thing, productivity in India will go up 10%. And if Modi ji comes back again next week and says, और एक ban होगा, good morning message आप WhatsApp पे नहीं भेज सकते. राइट, और किसने भी गुड मॉर्निंग गुलाब के रोज़ के साथ भेजा तो इमीडिएटली जेल हो जाएगी. तो ये दो चीज़ें करो तो प्रोडक्टिविटी 20% ऊपर जाएगी और देश कहाँ से कहाँ आ जाएगा. So I think that wraps this up. I hope you enjoyed the dark humor, and you must be wondering who I am. I'm the author of a book titled The 9 PM Debate. It talks about Indian television journalism as well as the topic of rape, and it is a book It's a book of work of fiction. So it does, discuss these topics, but it's a story, so it is entertaining. So if you get a chance to take a look at it, the book is right here, and you can find it on Amazon. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.